Welcome to this edition of Wild and Wonderful, where we look at some unusual artifacts in the Hall of Fame's collection. I'm here down in the archives of the Hall of Fame with our Senior Curator of Exhibitions and Collections, Eric Stroll. Eric, we've got three wonderful artifacts to talk about today, beginning with Cy Young, who won 511 games.
Yes, indeed. Now, Cy Young, of course, one of the most dominant pitchers, famous pitchers of all time, with the premier pitching award named after him. You correctly note 511 wins. My favorite Cy Young stat, which I find staggering every time I think about it, is 750 complete games. Really a dominant player. Now, by the time you reach the 1950s, early to mid-1950s, Cy Young's an old man, and everyone, of course, understands his historical place in the game. And he had a friend named Mr. Shelton, who he would apparently visit on a semi-regular basis. And Mr. Shelton would often keep mementos from Cy Young's visit, because he understood Cy Young's importance. And then after Cy Young died, Mr. Shelton donated these pieces to the museum. What we have here is a razor blade, interestingly enough, and it says, "This is the Gillette razor blade used by Cy Young at my home on the morning of September 9th, 1953, after he had been my guest from 2 p.m. of September 8th until noon September 9th that year. He, of course, used it also in my Gillette razor. At the time, he was 86 and 1/2 years of age." About a year later, he apparently visited Mr. Shelton again, and I don't know what kind of host makes their guest go out and chop wood, but apparently Cy Young went out and chopped some wood at Shelton's home, and then Mr. Shelton had him autograph a piece of this wood that he chopped. It says, "A piece of wood taken from the pile that Cy Young chopped himself in early November '54, several months before his 88th birthday." He died almost exactly a year later in 1955. So, pretty weird, bizarre things, but obviously showing you that even 60 years ago, somebody understood the importance of Cy Young and his place in the game. And a friend of his thought it was important to save anything he touched, apparently.
Well, from great pitchers to great hitters, we're going to look at an artifact from Rogers Hornsby that's not exactly one of his on-field artifacts.
Yeah, no, you got that right. This is a bowling pin, and we can see it says here, "Presented to Rogers Hornsby, Bowler's Night, Crosley Field, August 22nd, 1952, at what I'm sure was a famous event, the Greater Cincinnati Bowling Proprietors Association night at Crosley Field." Now, Rogers Hornsby, obviously famous hitter, probably the best right-handed hitter of all time. He cared about nothing but hitting. He didn't drink, he didn't smoke, he claimed he didn't read anything because he didn't want to damage his eyes, he didn't go to the movies, he probably didn't bowl. But indeed, the reason he would have received this, of course, is he was manager of Cincinnati in the last part of 1952, and so as the manager would have been, the head of the team, and presented this on bowling night at Crosley Field. I'm sure he probably got a kick out of it at the time, but yeah, one of the greatest hitters of all time, and commemorated in the Hall of Fame in one way, with a bowling pin.
What a personality. Another great personality in the Hall of Fame, known for his possible gruffness, was Ty Cobb.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, Ty Cobb, one of the greatest players of all time. First 5 inductees, higher percentage on that vote even than Babe Ruth, which he liked to remind Babe of during their time. What we have here for him is something that, of course, is not a hitting artifact. What we have here is a Shriner's Fez. Now, this would have been given to Ty Cobb when he joined the Shriners Temple. Shriners are actually the ancient Arabic order of nobles of the mystic shrine, and they are an appendant kind of group to Freemasonry. Today, of course, we know the Shriners foremost from these red fezes that they wear, but also children's hospitals that you can find all over the country, and they do great work. And Freemasonry and its tenets of charity and truth, brotherly love, and that sort of stuff, leads you to the idea of helping others, and that's, of course, something that the Freemasons and Shriners felt strongly in. It kind of reveals maybe a part of Ty Cobb's personality we wouldn't have thought about. Maybe the idea of fraternal societies he would have found appealing, but also the good works that those societies do. People so much these days often center on what they believe his personality was like and his competitiveness on the field, but evidence suggests, of course, as a person off the field, he was also a very generous and good man. So again, interesting artifact from him, not have anything to do with baseball, but showing you something a little about who he was as a person.
Thank you, Eric, and thank you for joining us on this episode of Wild and Wonderful. You can find out more about Hall of Famers on our website at baseballhall.org.